Welcome to PenGen's Inkwell podcast. My name is Jen Waters. I hope you enjoy my stories. Bubblegum Taffy Hot Pink High Heels is my time-traveling story. I always liked time-traveling stories like Back to the Future. My all-time favorite time-traveling story is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle, where she tries to help readers perceive what it would be like to travel in a fourth dimension of space. Some mathematicians and physicists believe that added dimensions of space in the universe could explain why God could be omnipotent but invisible to human sight. This allows for the idea that you could literally disappear in one place and end up in another, like when Jesus resurrected from the dead or when angels travel. You could use the fourth or fifth or sixth dimensions to travel, enabling yourself to transport from one place to another without being anywhere in between. It might also even explain how Jesus could stand on the Mount of Transfiguration at the same time with Peter, James, and John, with Moses and Elijah from different generations of men. Since I needed a hook for my story, I decided to use shoes as the magical element to allow Aiyana, the heroine, to time travel. Shoes really can take you different types of places. I also liked the Magic Treehouse book series, where the kids use the treehouse to travel from different places in time for adventures. I also liked the Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour film Somewhere in Time. Growing up, we spent a lot of time at the Hershey pool, so I thought the one place that I'd immediately like to leave is the swimming pool and find another adventure, even if it was a lake that looked like it was from the era of the painter Pierre-Auguste Renoir. My favorite painting of his is Two Young Girls at the Piano, which I saw at the Musée d'Orsay Art Museum in Paris and the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. But he has several lovely paintings of lakes, and I'd like to travel into any of them. Also, the way that the gentleman at the lake that Aiyana meets looks a bit like Uncle Herb from the present is a reference to the 1939 The Wizard of Oz film, where actor Frank Morgan, who plays the wizard, also appears as other characters in the film, such as Professor Marvel, a fortune teller. This story is scored to time-traveling theme, original music by Eric Baines. So put on your Bubblegum Taffy hot pink high heels and get ready for an adventure. I've got on my Bubblegum Taffy hot pink high heels, announced 12-year-old Aiyana Mitchell sitting on the back porch. She lived in the suburbs of Philadelphia and spent one too many summer days at the swimming pool. My time-traveling shoes, she declared. I can close my eyes and travel to places in the future and the past. As she pulled the laces tight on her sparkling pink heels, she thought of where she would like to travel for the first time. Of course, the pointed stiletto shoes were a special gift from her Aunt Olivia, who had outgrown time traveling with age. These shoes are now yours, Aunt Olivia told her niece. Have the time of your life. I've traveled enough for now. As the story goes, the shoes originally came from an era of magic shoemakers in England during the late 1890s. She bought them on a trip to England from the Portobello Road Market without knowing their magic powers until she put them on her feet. Her aunt had used the shoes to travel to so many places that it seemed like she was on a constant vacation. The family always said that her aunt was full of stories, and none of them could be true. But Aiyana always believed in her excursions and loved receiving her souvenirs. Now she was about to try the shoes for the first time for herself. Since her aunt didn't have children, she gave the shoes to Aiyana as long as she didn't tell her mom about them. It's better to stay in the present, forget about the past, and wait for the future, Aiyana's mom explained, rolling her eyes at her sister's imagination. Despite her mother's warning, Aiyana wanted the adventure and mystery of the time-traveling shoes, so she hid them under her bed in what looked like a beat-up old shoebox, and her mom never noticed them. Now that she was ready to use them, she decided that she'd better try traveling someplace calm and serene. How about traveling to the early 1900s to a lake with a boat and a fancy parasol and swans? Aiyana asked aloud. Although the present was full of sunshine and blue sky, she was eager to research the earlier era, so she put on the shoes, clicked them together 3 times, saying the riddle that Aunt Olivia taught her to say for traveling back in time, while blinking her eyes twice and visualizing a scene from one of her favorite impressionistic paintings. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. When she closed her eyes, she was transported to the other century, appearing wearing a lace dress and sitting in a boat on a lake. As she gathered her bearings, she grabbed the side of the boat with her left hand. The parasol slipped from her right hand. "Oh no!" she exclaimed, startled by the swans in the lake. Then the boat capsized, and she fell into the lake with a splash. This really does look like a scene from a painting by Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Aiyana concluded, taking in the surroundings. Her once curly hair had lost its bounce when doused with the water from the lake. She felt like a fat sponge. In all the commotion, Aiyana's time-traveling shoes slipped off her feet and sank to the bottom of the lake. "Now I'll be stuck in the 1900s forever," she yelled, grabbing onto the side of the boat, kicking her feet. She pulled herself back up the side of the boat, sopping wet, and cried, "Someone help me get my shoes back!" The lovely parasol floated on top of the lake as an upside-down umbrella across the rippling water. "My lady, let me help you," proclaimed a proper gentleman in a striped full-body swimming suit, diving in her direction. "I'm from the year 2020, and I lost my time-traveling shoes within a minute of being here," she clarified for the man. "If you could dive to the bottom of the lake and find the shoes so I could go back to 2020, I'd appreciate it so much." "That is quite a story, young lady," the man noted. "They must be your favorite pair of shoes to have such a story. If you don't find them, I'm going to have to scour the bottom of the lake by myself, and I can't swim in this dress," she worried. "And I'll probably drown trying to find my shoes. My mom expects me to be in the present for dinner." "Right away, ma'am. I'll find those shoes. Then you can travel anywhere you want," the man quipped. He looked a bit like her Uncle Herb from the present. "I'm putting on my goggles, and I'm about to descend into the deep." As the man dove into the lake, Aiyana squeezed out her lacy dress and paddled out to the parasol on the lake. When she raised the parasol, water dumped on her head, and she shook her head until she could see again. And then the man swimming in the lake on her behalf popped his head above the water. "My lady, still no shoes." He took a deep breath and went back underneath the water with a splash. A breeze blew over the lake. "Maybe I should have settled for the swimming pool," Aiyana deliberated. "It might have been easier than all this adventure." From beneath the water, a hand arose with the Bubblegum Taffy hot pink high heels dripping wet. "I found your lovely footwear," the man celebrated, handing her those shoes with sand filling in the toes. "Thank you, kind sir," Aiyana smiled, shaking the sand out of the shoes and putting them back on her feet. "I'd rather live in the present. If I can come back to the past or brave the future, there must be a specific reason. I'm just so out of sorts." "Well, now you can go on your journey," the kind sir proposed. "I'll be swimming in the lake if you return." Again, she put on the shoes, clicked them together 3 times, blinked her eyes twice, and this time repeated the riddle for traveling into the future. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. She visualized her mother's swimming pool in her backyard. With that, Aiyana returned to the present on the back porch of her Philadelphia home with her mother calling. "Oh, I'm so glad to be home," she whispered, sighing with relief. "There really is no place like it. Aiyana, come help me make dinner." Her mother prompted. What have you been doing out there all afternoon anyhow? As Aiyana walked into the kitchen, she created a trail of footprints in a puddle of lake water that stunned her mom. Did you just get out of the swimming pool? Her mother scolded her, wiping up the water with paper towels. Please don't tell me that you've been trying to figure out how to use those silly old shoes from Aunt Olivia. Aiyana ran upstairs to her bedroom before her mother could see her Bubblegum Taffy hot pink high heels. Before I go time traveling again, I need to ask my aunt for advice, Aiyana considered. It really has to go better next time. Maybe I should tie the shoes to my feet with ribbons. I'd really like to travel to all kinds of places, like the Roaring '20s, the '50s in America, the 1980s, the Renaissance, and future space travel. Time has no limit. With that, she put the shoes back into the old box underneath her bed and slipped on her flip-flops, ready for the present. This has been Pen Jen's Inkwell Podcast. I wrote and performed all the original stories in the podcast. This podcast is produced by Eric Baines, who scored all the stories and poems in the series to original and public domain music. The podcast is associated with my blog of the same name, Pen Jen's Inkwell, which can be found on my website, jenwaters.com.